Hi, my name's Hollie McDonald, and I am a stroke survivor. I am under 50, a little too close for 50 for what I like, but last Memorial Day on May 29th, 2023, I had a stroke. And it's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen to those of us under 50. And my signs were not the typical signs. But before I get into that, I just want to share that this is from my experience. This information is not to be construed as any kind of legal or medical advice whatsoever. And we'll have a little disclaimer at the bottom for that. But I own two businesses, McDonald Mobile and McDonald Financial. And for those of you who are fellow business owners, you know that even on holidays, we don't always get the break we want. So last Memorial Day, I was working, but I felt off. Something was up. We know our bodies, right? We know when something doesn't feel the way it should. And I thought I was just diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Maybe it's that. And so I texted a friend because everyone else was down the shore somewhere for Memorial Day, like normal people, not working like me. And I texted a nun and said, hey, do you have anything with a lot of sugar? And while I felt a teensy bit of Catholic guilt for raiding the convent fridge, she said, I have the perfect thing. And she brought over the most sugariest, and please don't kill me in the comments, I'm making up a word, but it was a lot of sugar. And sugariest iced tea that I've ever had in my life. And all of a sudden, I had this huge burst of energy. Well, no kidding. I had probably like the equivalent of a cup of sugar, like I used to drink when I was a kid with Kool-Aid. Not a shout out against Kool-Aid, by the way. So I then felt better. I took the dog out. I did the laundry. Things were good. I sent a bunch of emails. And after my stroke, I looked back. I didn't have one typo. So clearly, there were many parts of me working. But it still was like there's sinking sensation in the back of my mind. Like, is something up? Went to bed like normal. 3 a.m. I wake up. And you know when you're being stared at, it's creepy, right? My cat's staring at me. Nothing new. She judges me constantly. But my blind dog was staring at me. And I thought, oh, snap, something's up. And as soon as I went to get out of bed, I felt weird. And if you're a dog owner or a pet lover, you know that if you get up at 3 a.m., the dog gets up at 3 a.m. And so I went to leash him to take him outside, and I crashed into the wall. And I knew then something was really up. And I took the dog out, got him back in, and for the second time in as many days, I did a stroke test in the mirror. Once again, this was my experience. It's not any kind of medical advice, but if you Google stroke symptoms, sometimes you hear things like having trouble swallowing, having trouble with a droop in my face, having trouble smiling or sticking my tongue out or lifting my arms up. I was able to do all of that, yet I still felt weird. So I set my alarm for early in the morning to call my doctor to get an appointment. And I know by now you're thinking, McDonald, you should have just gotten it together, called 911. No one wants to go to the hospital, but you should have done it. And guess what? I didn't because I thought I was smarter than the internet. We've all been there. It's kind of like people that know a shortcut without listening to their GPS and then they end up in a traffic jam. I did that, but the traffic jam was my brain. Unfortunately, all the alarms I set for myself, I slept through. I had the deepest sleep. And it wasn't until a client and I, who regularly have a call on Tuesdays in the morning, he began calling me incessantly, wondering why I wasn't on our normal call. And thank goodness he woke me up. But I knew something was up. I felt cotton balls in my mouth. Even now, I still have numbness around my mouth as I'm talking. It's weird, but you kind of get used to it. And my mouth was partially numb. So there goes one of the stroke symptoms. But I had a call with him like normal, and he'll look back and he'll tell you he had no idea that something was wrong with me. And so then I called that doctor. Yes, I should have been at the hospital, but I finally did call the doctor and told them what I was going through and how I was still able to smile and swallow. There was just that weird thing about the cotton in my mouth, it felt like, and crashing into that wall with the walking the dog at 3 a.m. They were not alarmed. This is not a knock on my doctor, because I probably downplayed it in the call. A friend of mine, I texted her. Thank goodness I decided not to drive. Friend of mine, I texted her, said, hey, can you take me to the doctor in 2 hours? She said yes. And it wasn't until I left my home and went to get up the steps to walk outside that I knew something was drastically wrong. I could not walk properly. And I crawled up my steps and I walked like Frankenstein out to my friend's car. And she became very emotional. So I thought, oh, snap, I must look much worse than I feel. And we got in the car. It was awkward. Got to the doctor, and I had developed a droop by that time. And so that is also one of the telltale signs. We drove to the doctor. He examined me and said, Hal, I think you've had a stroke. I want you to go to the ER right away. I got some things together, said some goodbyes to people, which was really hard because, especially to those in my family, I lost my dad when he was 32 years old and I was 11. He lost his dad when he was only 5 years old and his dad was 40. So my family's used to loss, but you always hear this with strokes, right? I was blessed. Obviously, I'm here. And yeah, I've got a numb mouth and I get a numb hand sometimes. But other than that, I'm pretty good. But what happened is by the time I got to the emergency room, I thought that there's this miracle shot. And you'll hear about it. And again, I don't know the medical term, so don't rake me over the coals for that. But I thought I could get that shot that can reverse your stroke. And unfortunately, not only was it too late, but with the type of stroke that I had, the shot would not have saved me or reversed the effects. Now, I was much worse in the hospital, and then I got better. And then with lots of rehab, I'm very, very grateful. But what it made me realize, even though in my life, and I've been through a lot, no more than probably many of you, there were a couple things I realized. I realized who my village was. And some of the people that I thought were in my village were totally not in my village. And some of the people that I never thought would be there for me were there for me. I had to make a decision. There was a client that took it horribly, and they were downright awful to me. And it was scary. They were my top paying client. And for you business owners, you know, you can't go around firing your clients unless you already have 100 paying you very well. If that is you, good for you. I'm jealous. But I had to let that client go because I knew in my recovery and Hollie 2.0 or 5.0, whatever you want to call it, that they were not part of my future. But there were people that I realized that had been there for me. So one of my clients, lawyers, and lawyers are always on point and they will let you know. They arranged it so that I had a delivery from one of my favorite grocery stores with every vegetarian item on their menu because I'm vegetarian and people who don't know vegetarians just buy every fruit and vegetable that's possible. They had it waiting for me. Other clients sent me my favorite coffee, favorite iced tea, sugar-free. And can I tell you how many dog treats I had for about 6 months? Because people were very worried about my dog and cat living the lifestyle that they're accustomed to. But I'll tell you this, and I'm not going to get religious on you, but this was a wake-up call from God. And sometimes when God or higher power, or whatever you believe in, gosh, don't you wish they would send you a Post-it or a text? But that wasn't me. And I had to go through this. And I would not wish this on anyone. But I'll tell you, it helped me get my you-know-what together. And it helped me realize who my village is and who maybe they want to help and they want to be a part of your village so much, but they just can't. The other thing is my estate planning. I told you about my family history. I've had an estate plan in place for over 20 years. I wish that wasn't as long ago as that seems, but I've redone it. And I've made sure that the decision maker that I had assumed, and even though I asked them, did I really ask them or did I tell them? So-and-so, you're going to be my power of attorney. So-and-so, you're going to be my executrix. I needed to give them backup and to take on some of the responsibilities. I have pets, and that plan worked very well, but some of it didn't. And so I will caution you on this. No matter what your age, make sure that you ask the person and that you know they can really do what you want with your estate plan. And sometimes the person that could be your executor might not be the right person to make the healthcare decisions. Maybe they can't pull the plug. Maybe they'd be a little too quick to pull the plug. We don't know. Tomorrow is promised to no one. But I ask you, if there's anything in this, May is Stroke Awareness Month, that you take from this, is that Google the signs of a stroke. Do what you can do or talk to your physician to work with stroke prevention. It doesn't mean it will always work. But I was in my 40s and I had a stroke, and I shouldn't have. And it was very humbling when I was in the hospital, assuming that I would be the youngest there. And I said, oh, I bet I'm your youngest patient. And they said, actually, we just released a child under the age of 10 from their care. She was discharged the morning that I arrived. And so please be aware. Please feel free to connect with me. Thank you for your time. And a big shout out, because he's going to put his information at the bottom of this video, to my buddy, Chris Laney, for producing this video for me, making me sound much better than I actually am. And you won't hear the cat and dog sounds in the background because they're having a little party behind me, because obviously they think I'm on video and leaving them alone. So thank you. Be blessed. And don't forget, get your ducks in a row. Thank you.